Hi guys, Jen with Convicted Hearts. I hope you're all doing really good tonight. Just had some things on my mind, kind of heavy. That's why I'm doing this video with no makeup, so please forgive my face. Okay, so this room that I'm in, this was my room when I was a kid and a teenager, and I guess you would consider like a young adult, because I moved out when I was 18. But this room has a lot of history in it. A lot of things happened in this room. I hope you can stick around and hear what I have to say. I haven't told this to anyone. Okay. Something very serious happened in this room one time. And this right over here, this window, is actually where one of my friend's boyfriends at the time broke in one night. I shared this room at the time with my cousin, who I referred to as my sister before. She was one of like my mom's foster kids, but she is my blood cousin. And in this room, one night in the middle of the night, somebody broke in and did something to me. My little sister, my cousin, she woke up during part of that, and she saw some things, and she was really scared, so she froze, which is understandable because I froze. And I mean, it was happening to me, but I couldn't react. I was too scared because of the threats that were made to me by this person. Okay, so this person that I'm referring to, he was actually one of my friend's boyfriends. He was much older than me, and he was hanging out with all of the rest of the kids here. He was going to church with us. Yes, at church. That's where you're going to find a lot of your predators. So I guess I've tried to, not consciously, but I have blocked a lot of this out. And one thing that I can remember before this happened is one night at church, in what was a youth group night, he had passed along a little note to me. And my friend was sitting on the opposite side of him, so I didn't think anything of it. I thought it was from her. But when I opened it, it was something like flirtatious or something like that threw me off. I was very naive because I was, for the first part of my childhood and young teenager life, raised in church. So I didn't know what to make of this little note. I can't even remember the exact words, but it was something along the lines of, I think about you, I want to be with you, things like that. I was really confused. I mean, I'm talking like 12, 13 years old, okay? It had to be 12, 11 or 12, because my parents were still married. My dad was coming home that night, and they divorced sometime when I was 12, so it had to be. Anyways, this particular night, I awoke to a noise at this window here. And I was startled by it. I wasn't sure what it was. You can kind of say that we live like in the country, in the sticks, the outskirts of town. So a lot of times you hear things outside that are maybe wildlife, you might hear your neighbors, things like that. So I wasn't immediately startled until I heard something fall through the window. And At that point, the window that I just pointed to, I looked over and there was a bed directly over here, which was a day bed. Those of you that know what that is, I had the upper portion. My cousin, sister had the lower portion. Here's the window right there. And that noise of something dropping woke me up. When I woke up to a stick sticking through the window and prying the window open. I was so frightened that I froze. And at the time, unfortunately, the windows were they were really old, like probably the original windows of the house. So it was very easy to pop them out. And that's exactly what this person did. He popped them out of their place. So he was able to remove the one half of the window that you would normally close. Once he did so, he came inside the window. I was sitting up in the bed, and he said if I didn't want something to happen to my little sister, that I would be quiet. So I was quiet. I don't think I've ever said this story to... I don't think I've ever told this story to anyone. I'm not sure. But I think it's important because I have daughters. I have 4 daughters. And I have 2 sons. I mean, it could happen to boys too, right? Let's not kid ourselves. This happens all the time. People just don't talk about it. I didn't talk about it. And look at me. At my age, still affecting me. So the next... I was going to cut ahead, but let me be honest. I was taken out of my bed and placed on the floor. And something took place. You guys can imagine what that was. I don't know how much I can say on here, so I'll just leave it at that. But I remember exactly what happened. I remember the items that were around me. I remember a sock that this person touched afterwards to clean themselves. I remember saying, no, please. And I remember this person had a pocket knife and told me the same thing. If you stay quiet, I won't harm your little sister. Because everybody referred to her as my sister. Everyone knew her as my sister. Even though she was my biological cousin, she was raised with my sister. So, I mean, if I really cared to do so, she could co-sign the situation because she did wake up at some point. I just remember the smell that repulsed me. I didn't know at the time what it was because I had never been around alcohol or cigarettes or drugs. Now, as an adult woman, I know that smell was cigarettes and probably some type of hard liquor like Jack Daniels or something. This person left out of the same window he broke in. I was too scared to touch that window, to do anything to it. So after everything was done, I got my little sister and told her we needed to go in the other room to sleep. She was asking why. I just told her, it was a bad dream. Let's go in the other room. It's safer. I was able to kind of convince her that that was the right thing to do. So in the morning, my mom woke up before I did and realized, I guess she went out the front door, which is right outside this very window I pointed to you guys. The front door is right outside. And she saw a bunch of sticks right outside of the window, and she saw that the window had been pried off of the edge. I'm not sure what you call it. Pried off of where it's placed. She came inside this room and saw that the window, was in fact pried off, and there were sticks inside as well. And she asked me and my little sister / cousin what had happened. I just said, I don't know. I didn't know what else to say. Another part of this that made it difficult is this was one of my friend's boyfriends. So I didn't want to lose my friend. And I was very confused as to what had taken place because, like I said, I was very naive, and this was not something that was ever discussed with me in detail, like how to handle. I was kind of raised up the first 12 years of my life, like in church, and, this is something that was never discussed. It was not a topic in this family. The following day, the very next day, the same thing happened. In the middle of the night, I heard a noise at the window. I knew instantly he had come back. I didn't know what to do, but I was afraid that he would harm my little sister. So I remember shaking her and waking her up and telling her, we need to go into the other room. And she said, why? What's that noise? She was alarmed. She knew something was going on. I never talked about what happened the night before. But she had tried to ask me, she knew she saw something. She knew something wasn't right. She was like 4 or 5 years younger than me. So I was able to wake her. I was really scared. So I kind of slid down onto the bottom, like trundle bed where she was at. And she and I both, like, I guess you would call, the only way you can really call it is like army crawled on our bellies out of the door of this bedroom. And I locked it when I went out of here. Right when I was about to lock the door and shut it, I heard a noise that was very comforting to me. And that was the noise of my father's Volkswagen Bug. He used to drive this to work when he worked at Soledad Central. He was coming home around then. He worked the night shift. So I just felt like, it was perfect timing. Like my dad he was showing up in time to save me. And this person was going to leave and not come back. Sorry. So that person left. My dad came home. The next day, the same thing. My mom saw the sticks trying to pry the window open. This time, I had actually thought ahead of time and wedged a piece of wood in the windowsill. If you know these old, like, single pane windows, like back in the day, you would place a piece of wood or something in that windowsill where you couldn't open it or, pop it open. And I did that ahead of time because I did fear that he would come back. And I'm glad I did because he, in fact, came back. I don't even really know what to say. I don't even know if I'm going to post this, but I feel like I need to talk about it for some reason. I never told my parents or anyone exactly what had taken place. My mom did call the cops the second day. They came and took fingerprints and did whatever cops do. So I'm sure they had something on file, because a few weeks later, when I went down to the shopping area where, in this small town, this is the only place you can hang out and do anything as a kid. Like, you could ride your skateboards or bikes or just hang out. One of the local sheriff's cars pulled up, and it was a deputy that I in fact remember. I won't say his first name, but his last name was Gash. And I remember him because he was actually a friend of my stepfather's, who worked at the sheriff's department. My stepfather was a detective, not my father. So this was, by the time my mom had my dad put out and got my stepfather, was a pretty fast situation. So I guess this was a friend of my stepfather's. I didn't know yet. But he saw me down at the shopping center and asked me to come to his vehicle. And of course, it startled me, because it's like, why are the cops calling me over there? And he wanted to speak with me alone. My friends had to walk away, and my cousins that were there with me. And he showed me a picture of this person and asked me if I knew who he was. And I was really shocked. I wasn't prepared to see that picture. And I didn't know how he knew to ask me who this person was. But it was the person that broke in through the window and did that thing to me and tried to break in again. But thank God my dad's vehicle, the noise of that scared him away the second time. He said the person's name. Obviously, I knew the person's name because he was a boyfriend of one of my friends, much older than me. And I just said, yeah, I've seen him around. He asked me if he had, been to the house. I just played along like, no, I don't really know. I don't remember. I was embarrassed. I was humiliated. I was ashamed because I thought I had done something wrong. So I really felt like this officer kind of called me out in front of people. So I just kind of, like I said, just to get to the point, I told him I really didn't know who he was. He was an acquaintance, a friend of a friend. Eventually, some time went by. One of my cousins, who I no longer speak to, unfortunately, ended up fighting this creep and messed him up pretty bad. I think the rumor had been around of what he'd done, or he had tried to do, because he was bragging about something at the high school. And like I said, I was much younger. So I wasn't aware of everything he was saying. My cousin was hearing this, not me. And then eventually, I just never saw him again. I don't know whatever happened to him. I can only assume that his parents, his family, moved him out of the area, and probably because he was being questioned about things. I would guess that my mom had called the cops that second day. They took fingerprints, and possibly his prints or DNA were on file. But I did not push that subject any further because I was so humiliated. I still am, and which I feel really silly for, because I'm a grown woman. I have children that are grown. But I hope you guys know that even if you're grown, that doesn't mean that you're void of feeling your feelings, And you should talk to your kids about it. Like I have talked to my older daughters about it recently, and let them know, listen, this happened, this wasn't right. I didn't go into detail because I'm not even able to face the details. I'm surviving. I'm not like, I don't want to come off as I'm such a victim. I'm not that I'm not. I mean, I realize that is wrong, but I'm okay. Like, I'm safe. I'm protected. If anyone tried anything on me, they would be very sorry because I'm well protected, if you get what I'm saying. But I want my daughters to feel safe and empowered because, so help me God, if anyone tried them or my sons, this would be a very different situation because this is something that happened to me and I can see through the BS of it. And if somebody just were to tell me, oh, it was nothing, Mom, I don't know, I'm not sure, I think I would pick up on it because I know what that is. It's somebody being embarrassed, being ashamed, and trying to cover up for a situation they're not prepared to deal with. So with that said, I just want to tell you guys that talk to your kids, talk to the kids in your family. I'm going to talk to my girls again, and my sons even. I'm going to talk to my grandchildren. I mean, I'm going to prepare all of my children, like, not to be in constant fear of people, but to be aware that these type of people exist, and it's safe to come and talk to me. I am going to protect you. There's nothing to fear by telling me and being honest. Like, I am here for you. Whatever you're comfortable with telling me, we can do this together. And it's going to be all right no matter what. This might have been a little awkward, a little uncomfortable for you guys. It was for me. Like I said, I haven't dealt with this yet. But I'm trying to face all of my issues, or whatever you want to call it, head on this new year. I'm tired of carrying all this baggage with me. I just want to be free of all the stuff that's weighed me down all this time. So, just sending that message to you guys. Just, if your family tells you something, believe them. And if you feel something's wrong, even if they haven't told you, ask them. Talk to them. Leave an open communication with them. Okay. And like I said, I'm okay. I'm not in a situation where I'm going to be harmed again, because I can protect myself, and I wish I would these days, because I sleep with mines, if you know what I mean. Anyways, I have to end that with a little bit of a smirk, because I'm not going to go to bed with tears. I'm a tough chick. So, with that being said, I love you guys, for real, I do. Be safe, be strong, share your stories to empower each other. Like I said, I'm not a victim. I'm only sharing this because possibly it could help someone else. And if it does, then that's all I need out of this. I just want to help other people. Whatever I've been through, if I can use that in some way to help others, that blesses my heart tremendously. So much love and respect from Jen Magana with Convicted Hearts to all of my fellow convicted hearts. Have a blessed and beautiful weekend. I love you guys. Good night.